Today, our commander-in-chief at midnight in the early morning ordered us, as he is accustomed, to carry out a deployment, an exercise within the framework of the Independence Plan 200, but raising the level, notable in the streets, registering in the militia. We went to the barracks, the militia went to the barracks, we went almost 200,000 troops have been deployed throughout the national territory for this exercise. And I must say that this does not detract from the daily deployment carried out by the Operational Strategic Command, General-in-Chief Domingo Hernandez Lares, Operational Strategic Commander, who is here by my side. Well, now combating other threats, the threat of drug trafficking, the threat of armed terrorist groups, armed drug traffickers who intend to operate on the Venezuelan border. To all of this, we are providing an effective response, and the people of Venezuela must know that they have a Venezuela safeguarded, protected, defended by the Bolivarian National Armed Forces and by the leadership of our Commander-in-Chief, President Nicolas Maduro Moroso. We study all that with the full superior general staff almost daily. So this exercise, well, besides that, of completing and studying and preparing for command and control, also involves the deployment of, well, air, land, naval, missile means of all kinds. That is to say, it is that's why we have called it a superior phase, because it includes exercises that we have already repeated, but now in an integral manner, of an integral nature. That is the vision of this, and we are going to do it today, and we are going to do it tomorrow. We have conducted campaign maneuvers. Do you remember the maneuvers we did in Orquila? Today, coincidentally, the National Assembly is practically debating the final phase of that special law for the commands of the Dire of Integral Defense. That's what it will be called. Special law for the commands of integral defense. What does that mean? Well, that the state as such, its institutions integrate into the armed struggle and complement each other, not only to the Caribbean and the Latin American region. The great powers have spoken now against this aggression occurring in the Caribbean, this intimidation, this threat polluting the waters of the Caribbean Sea with hatred, with supremacism, with the intention of imposing and making the Caribbean Sea a closed sea for the interests of the United States. Decentralization of media, disaster management exercise, and here in Venezuela, the rejection exceeds 90%. The rejection exceeds 90% of the entire people against an aggression against Venezuela. That is to say, the tiny minority, subversive, fascist faction that still tries to do politics in Venezuela, calling for invasions in Venezuela, well, that is no longer the case. Masi Quintala, they do not exist. They do not exist for us. They stopped being Venezuelans. They themselves stopped being Venezuelans. They themselves lost their nationality. I insist there has been no pause, and there will be no pause. We will continue. I hear that the military forces of the United States, the armed forces of the United States, are being used as mercenaries. To kill, as their main spokesperson have said, we are going to deploy around the world to kill, to murder. And that is what is happening in the Caribbean, killing defenseless people, whether or not they are drug traffickers. In the Caribbean, killing and executing without due process. Has faced international rejection, but categorical, not only in all international forums, throughout the United Nations, in all multilateral human rights organizations, but also within the United States. there is a rejection, a very noticeable rejection against this excessive, disproportionate, illegal, and illegitimate use of United States military forces against the peoples of the Caribbean, well, against the peoples of the Caribbean and against peace in the Latin American region.